If you're anything like me, then you trade a leg for a remaster or sequel to Bloodborne. Preferably the right one, since that's where the beast blood creeps up anyway. But as Sony continues to remix PlayStation titles that are less than a decade old in a manner that's beginning to feel like the countless editions of Skyrim, it sure seems more and more like we may never be treated to a return trip to Yharnam. Well, an official one, anyway. From the people who gave you insight with the incredible Bloodborne remake comes Bloodborne Kart, a classic kart racer set in the streets of Yharnam and other regions from the game, and featuring all of its most well-known characters. A meme that grew legs and came to life, it might not be the follow-up many of us wish we had enough pale blood to will into being, but I for one am incredibly excited to get my hunter's gloves on this one. So let's take a visceral look forward to Bloodborne Kart. Developed by Lilith Walther, who spearheaded the aforementioned Bloodborne remake, Bloodborne Kart is set for release on January 31st, 2024. So just a few weeks into the new year, and probably about a month or so before most people expect the Elden Ring DLC to drop. So if you ask me, it's coming out right at the perfect time, when FromSoft fans will be looking for something to play as we look forward to Shadow of the Erd Tree. According to the announcement post on Twitter, the game is set to feature 12 racers. Based on the trailer and other videos Lilith has posted across social media, it appears that the playable racers include the Good Hunter, the Doll, Father Gascoigne, Eileen the Crow, Gehrman, Lady Maria, Mikolash, and hilariously, Baby Murgo. That's a great cast of playable characters, and I'll be very interested to see who the other ones are. Personally, I'm hoping for Alfred. That way I can cash in on the early PlayStation vibes with his Pyramid Head style mask. Just as you would expect from a game honoring From Software, it will include boss fights, and I'd assume that winning these challenges will be the path to unlocking characters like Father Gascoigne, Mikolash, and Gehrman, all of whom were bosses in the original game. Unlocking characters as you progress is a key element of any kart racer, from Crash Bandicoots to Mario's, so I'll bet that type of dynamic is reflected here. The end of the trailer teases the Moon Presence, which should not only be an incredibly cool boss fight to close out the single-player campaign, but would certainly make for a capstone of an unlockable character as well. Speaking of the single-player campaign, Bloodborne Kart will include one, along with local split-screen multiplayer, so it sounds like I'll need to invite my brother over for some Blood Vials and Hunterly competition the weekend this one drops. In terms of the gameplay itself, the obvious comps are Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing, and the game certainly does bring to mind those old classics. There are power-ups to collect, and special weapons to use. But between the visceral vibe of the game, the PlayStation 1 style graphics, and just the nature of the contest itself, I'm more reminded of Twisted Metal, the series of demolition derby games that dominated the PlayStation during the late 90s and early 2000s. Those were some of my favorite games growing up, and to see something reminiscent of them mixed with Bloodborne feels like a combination tailor-made to grab my attention. Overall, I couldn't be more excited for Bloodborne Kart. It combines Bloodborne, one of my favorite games of all time, with the concepts of kart racers and demolition derbies I grew up on, and it does it all with a tremendous sense of humor. Lilith, good luck to you and the rest of your development team on the road to release. I'm sure I speak for the rest of the Bloodborne community when I say that I can't wait for this one, and I really appreciate you keeping the hunter's dream alive with this incredible game. If you'd like to see some more videos from Bloodborne Kart, just follow the link below to Lilith's YouTube page. She posts awesome videos showing off the game, including racer reveals that are just as good as Super Smash Bros. Roster reveals, along with behind-the-scenes looks at the development of the game. See you guys in January on the Yharnam Speedway.